preseason tournament up in Canada against some of, I guess you would call them, some semi-professional teams in the Canadian national scene. But I think this is a great challenge for both teams. And honestly, with the national championship being held here in Fairfax, there are tons of teams coming in and trying to make it back here at the end of April, and UCLA is going to try to make their way to Eagle Bank later this year for sure.
Of course, Eagle Bank Arena, the 10,000-seat arena next door to the RAC here in Fairfax on the campus of George Mason. As the two teams get set. All-time George Mason 3-1 under Jay Hosick in season openers, 31-13 all-time. Referee doing their final checkovers.
And honestly, tonight is a great crowd for school not to be in session, but these stands are full and they are ready to see what this season has in store for both the Patriots and the Bruins. The Patriots, honestly, we talked about this earlier, Jay Hosick has really got this intense schedule, but what he really has as an advantage is that he's playing home all the time, which is so exciting for these men, and something that Coach Hosick hasn't had in his career before. So I think you're going to see a lot of fans really latch onto the Patriots this season as they play in front of some great crowds all year.
27 matches on the season, 19 of which will come here at home, a few over in Eagle Bank towards the end of the season, most of them here in the RAC. And as you mentioned, 19 home matches, a career high for Hosick. 17 was his previous high as an assistant at Penn State. So he is going to do a lot of sleeping in his own bed. They say that home cooking leads to success on the court. We'll have to wait and see if that pans out this season for George Mason. UCLA will get the opening serve here this afternoon. It'll be the true freshman Alex Knight to get us underway. We'll pause, crowd silences for a moment, and Knight sends it right at Greenslade. Velez backwards to Greenslade. Nice dig on the back line by Knight. Keep it alive. They're coming to Hayne Wagner on the push, and it falls. That one down in front of J.R. Norris, the fourth. The opening point of the night goes to George Mason.
You're going to see them really try to use Hayden Wagner both in the front row and the back row. That time from the Mason setter was a little far inside, but Hayden was able to put something on it and get his first kill of the evening.
Set, they're going up the middle, do the Bruins, and it'll go. The kill down for Matt Yergren, redshirt senior. He's only played in 46 sets in his career at UCLA, but getting the start here tonight in Fairfax and off to a hot start at that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're going to really try to work, I think, their middles, and honestly, Coach Sprague told us before the match tonight, they're going to try to figure out what works for them, but honestly, serving needs to be one big thing that they take advantage of. He said they've struggled a little bit so far, and you could see that serve was a little flat coming off, so he definitely wants to see some more aggression behind the line from his team.
Kill for Mike Capusa, his first of the night. He immediately goes back to serve. It just seems like the volleyball gods have a way of doing that. You get the kill, you immediately end up serving, trying to keep that momentum going for the Patriots. He sends it into a double team. Somehow it panned out for a moment for UCLA before it falls down.
So I think what Mason is going to do a really nice job of, and they're going to try to get their black, in front of the Bruins as much as they can, but that big issue is the 6'9" setter for the Bruins who can attack on two. He just overpassed on that one, but we'll see what they have moving forward. 3-1 lead for the Patriots, and
we'll make that 3-2 on the service error. If you're watching men's volleyball for the first time, it varies a little bit different from the women's volleyball scene. A lot of service aces and a lot of service errors in men's volleyball. It won't be the last one we see tonight.
Certainly not. I mean, they want to be aggressive back there. There's shorter rallies, and serving is a huge part of the men's game.
Left-handed serve. There by Jensen, no good. You've mentioned his frame. He had 4 aces in their opener. He can do it all.
Yeah, I think, when you're getting on top of the ball the way you can at 6'9", it's just you can put him away, but some will fall into the middle of the net. That's the men's game through and through.
So Bradley Creamer sends it over. We'll talk about him a little bit later, getting back out on the court this season. Kill for UCLA over on the far side.
And he was just powering through that block. I think Jack Reese is trying to get a feel for where they're going and who they're trying to feed so that he can close that block more efficiently. That time he was just a little late and it got through his hands on that ball.
It'll be Matt Taitua to send it back. That was a strong serve right at Capusa. The answer on the far side by Sam Greenslade into the crowd. Mason extends their lead back to 2 at 5-3.
You can tell, we're really early in the season. There's a lot of communication happening between players on the blocking, on the offensive, of kind of like, where are we, what do we need more of? And you can see as the season goes on, they're going to get more comfortable in what should happen and who they're playing next to make things a little bit easier, the transition smoother.
Hayden Wagner goes a bit long there. Wagner, a season ago, had 35 aces, but he also had 83 errors.
Yeah, I think that's something that every coach is prepared to coach and talk about with their team. You want to be aggressive, but early in the game, you can just go for it. That's the best part, and it's close right now, so aces and errors aren't as big a deal. You'll see it change once we get past 20.
And it seems like the error train is chugging along now as the teams trade points on service errors, and somehow Sam Greenslade is going to try to end this run. He, however, had a team-high 38 aces last season and only 41 errors, so way more efficient at the service stripe. Nice dig back line by Knight. They're going far side to Norris the fourth. Dug out by Kennan, far side. They're going to come to Wagner. Another dig on the back line. Best volley of the night so far, and Norris does not catch the corner.
There's obviously some disagreement in the stands on whether there's a touch on that ball, whether it was in, whether it was out, but you get back there and make the next point. There were some really good digs, honestly, in that rally, and that's something that the men's game is definitely working hard at. And Kennan on the Mason side, he's just worked tirelessly to get his defense better and better. And now an ace coming from the Patriots to take an 8-4 lead.
Greenslade, both sides so far.
And honestly, Zach, if it was me, I probably would be losing my mind in the women's game with the amount of errors there have been. But I think, I'm guessing that Coach Spraw took that time out to settle things down, talk about their system, and get things back on track.
Far side, Norris has it absolutely rejected. It's Jack Reeks.
That time you could see he got there early. He saw it going to that opposite for the Bruins and really clamped down on it.
Norris has not played a lot in his career. The redshirt sophomore, just 3 sets played last season. Out there today as UCLA continues to try to find that lineup. Nice touch by Reese up above the net. Set, they're going back to Norris the fourth, and he makes Reese pay for it that time.
One of the big things Coach Spraw spoke with us about earlier today is just if you can have a dominant opposite on your program, it can just be so game-changing. I think that's where Hayden Wagner has done so well because he is in that opposite slot. But for the Bruins, I think their inexperience in that position is causing them some strife right now. So hopefully he's going to get back on track. But I do think the opposite position in the men's game is just so important.
Norris with an absolute gas. And that one had no chance. Not the best set for the Patriots that time, and it really had no chance to get over.
Yeah, Luis just was a little low on that set. I think they're definitely trying to push tempo there to the pin, but either his hitter wasn't on the right step, he misfired a little bit, so they'll figure it out. Match 1 of the season, set 1. There's going to be some mistakes.
9-5 as Norris the fourth continues on his service string. That one as Wagner ducks to get out of the way of it, way wide.
Offensively, you can see both of these teams are trying to figure out if they're feeding the middles more, if they're using that back row attack, which in the game is just called a D-ball for most people, whether they're using the pipe, which is a back row attack right down the middle, and seeing what they want. That time, the Bruins are able to sneak one by with Matt Jorgensen.
They got that one down right in front of Wagner and Reese. So it kind of seems to be one or the other for Reese. He either annihilates the block or it slips in front of him. Still trying to seal that net as the rotation's gone all the way around now for UCLA. Alex Knight up for a second time. And Kapusa did not get the tip, and the point goes to UCLA. Bruins trim it to within 2. Knight, the true freshman, member of the U.S. national team. As that one goes wide, that one did not miss by a lot.
It's got to be an interesting dynamic with Coach Spraw being the men's national team coach, and he's seeing these great players as he's coaching his collegiate teams and playing against his own players from the national team. And, I think that's got to be such an interesting dynamic, and really try to figure out who he sees and then who he wants to be training with. They're going to play Princeton next week, and one of his national team players are playing for Princeton. And so I think it's got to be an interesting dynamic, but it's got to give him that edge, hopefully, for our U.S. national team, that he gets to see them play, all year round and not just when he's with the team.
Yeah, and I feel like it brings a little extra push to win those matches, too, just to remind those players that aren't at UCLA who's the boss of that national team.
Yeah.
As Wagner tells the ball who's boss on the far side to extend the lead back for the Patriots. It'll be 12-9, 3-point lead for the homestanding Patriots.
Wagner really just 2 kills on no errors, 3 attempts, hitting at 667, and he's just getting started in this early part of the match.
Kapusa tried to catch the corner, airmailed it.
I think what's so crazy is that the service errors are all over the place. I mean, we're talking some long into the net, but aggressive nonetheless.
Service errors for the Patriots have been between 2 players, Kapusa and Wagner. Service errors are across the board for UCLA so far.
Everybody's getting in on it.
Creamer got the weird one to go, tipped right off of the fingertips there of Kobe Jimma, but got it to go.
I think the off-speed shots for every man on the floor is really important, just because you think that they're going to really take a whack at it, and using that off-speed really changes the defense and what they're seeing.
A little bit of a missed touch there by Knight, and a block. Jack Reese, Hayden, Wagner right there for George Mason. We're going to take another look at that one, as it was really no chance. A low set and a mistimed jump there by Norris the fourth.
And now a sub as Morris comes off the floor. And we have Sam Burgee come in for him. A redshirt freshman.
That time,
Kofi just takes that and bounces it.
Yeah, there's really no other words for it. There's not anything you can do as a middle blocker looking up and seeing him already 5 feet above you.
Yeah, I mean, middle blockers have so much responsibility. They need to cover so much net, but sometimes just the quick attack, and with somebody that's jumping as high as Kofi, it is just so hard to get in front of him.
As Jack Reese hits that one into the net for the Patriots.
I think what the Patriots right now are doing really well is that they're handling the service game. Like, their passing is pretty on point. It's letting them run the offense that they can, which is definitely a huge turning point in the game.
That one caught Sam Greenslade on the shoulder. He had the right idea.
Yeah, I didn't mean to jinx him on that one after talking about how well the passing was doing, but
yeah, clipped the shoulder there.
Austin Matatui was really playing a lot last year, had about 164 kills on the season, hitting at a 368 clip, and now just trying to bring some experience to this UCLA team.
And that experience is really paying off right now. Even on that play, he was able to keep it alive and force George Mason to call their first time out. We'll hang with you here on ESPN+. Take a look.
Yeah, communicate about what needs to change and what each player needs, especially as it relates to the setter-hitter dynamic. But I think it is going to continue to be the serve and pass game that's making or breaking a lot of these sets.
I'm a numbers guy. I see the interesting thing on here, side-out percentage, 64.3 for both teams so far. So we're back underway. Beautiful dig by Kennan on the back line. Wagner a little long there. Kofi just got his finger down. He almost touched that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was an amazing pass, and I think that we just are seeing they're missing a little long. We just needing to get on top of the ball a little bit more, that timing. I know a lot of these guys want to bounce it, of course, but we got to find the court at some time.
Well, a miss hit there by Kapusi. He's able to hang with it. Blocked back down. Good job of Jack Reese keeping it alive for the Patriots. Blocked down, and on the side of UCLA, point to the Patriots, ending a 5-0 Bruins run.
What was great about that for the Patriots is just they're mixing it up pin to pin, which is really, I think, confusing the UCLA block. That time, Kofi was really off the net and letting that ball sneak in front of him. So good job for the Patriots really mixing up the offense.
Wagner back to serve following his kill. He has a match-high 3 kills on 6 attempts so far. That one dug out back line. Here comes the freshman, Alex Knight, and he's on the national team for a reason, folks. He's a true freshman starting for the #2 team in the country.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, that started all with a pass from Mantutua, and I think that just they were letting him go, and I think what was challenging is that Kofi being in the front row had pulled the block to him and really left Knight all alone to get a great cross-court swing.
Speaking of Kofi, he's on serve, and he goes right at Sam Greenslade. Velez going back to Greenslade, has a tip, diving save by Knight. Kept alive, it goes back to the Patriots. Free ball opportunity, here comes Wagner, and he goes right at the face of Matt Tui. He's able to hang with it, he bump sets far side of the court. Burgee keeps it going, nice volley here. It's a little all over the place as Wagner clips the net, and it did not touch a Bruin.
Yeah, the UCLA bench is really excited about that, and it looks it when you're carrying 20-plus guys on your roster. But, again, the defense for that in that rally was great all around. You can see them diving all over the place, throwing their bodies at it, and really using any sort of limb, chest, shoulder, whatever they need to get that ball up and in play.
Jack Reese got a flat tire. I need to change that right tire out over there, rocking the Adidas shoes. George Mason sponsored by Adidas. UCLA sponsored by Under Armour.
Also a good play by Jack Reese, intentional or not, to kind of slow the play down. Knee inside his shoe can really help with momentum.
That one out of bounds on another service ace. 7-1 run and a 3-0 run for UCLA.
I think, UCLA is taking advantage of Greenslade in the back row and really going after him, trying to test it out. And you'll see, if Mason will choose to try at any point to bring in a defensive specialist to try to help out their passing. But, they get it back after that service error from Kofi.
16-18, UCLA on top. Bruins, #2 team in the preseason AVCA poll. That's Greenslade goes cross court. Set near side they come. Freshman Alex Knight gets it to go and extends that lead back to 3. No team has had a bigger lead than 3 so far. It's been a very good first set.
Yeah, I think, what's so interesting is that if we're just talking, I don't know if you guys are seeing this on TV, since everyone is so tall right now on UCLA, you don't even realize that Knight is one of the shorter guys on the UCLA team, but he elevates so well. And actually he's going up against Mason Setter, who is one of their smaller guys, kind of being able to hit over top of him, which is giving UCLA that matchup that they probably want.
Yeah, Alex Knight so short at 6'5". He'd have, let me do the math,
Jensen
9 inches on me.
It's just Jensen being, 6'9". He does make him look a little small at the net.
He outjumps Jensen at the net, too. On the far side is Burgee, gets it to the back line. Up the middle, Jack Reese ends the run. It's now 20-17.
That is the kind of tempo that Mason is looking to push. They want that quick set. In the women's game, we call it somewhere in the 31 range, but, they're pushing it into that gap and just throwing it down. 1, 2, 3, easy plays for the Patriots on that.
And that gap is so hard to actually cover because it's not the pin, it's not the middle. It's just kind of that no man's land as we have a service specialist in for George Mason as Richie Hoff sends it into the net. That's not exactly what you're looking for when you come in as a specialist.
It's not, but I'm pretty sure that Hoff is high ace, high errors, so I think they knew kind of getting after it. It was like we're going for points, and Coach Hosek was clearly ready to run that risk of bringing him in, and that time it didn't pay off. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Hoff later in the match.
So it'll be a freshman Knight. It seems like he's been plastered all over this first set. Every time we turn around as we have a battle at the net, won by the Bruins.
I think that Kennan is really trying to do a good job, but that serve is coming in so hard from Knight that there's not much. You're trying to take some off of it, trying to put backspin on that ball. That time it just went over a little too far, and Matt Tatui took way advantage of it.
Going that far side again. You mentioned Greenslade on that back line still for George Mason. Velez, quick attack, and he split the double. That was a crafty move by Luis Velez.
That was great. I mean, Kramer going in for that gap and really throwing it down, then led the next play to the block, the UCLA block, shifting over, being ready for that or the overload to the outside, just giving the Mason setter ample time to dump that ball over.
Velez lofts it over. Quick attack the other way, and if you can do it, I can do it too, says Mads Jensen.
I think that every setter wants to hold that in their back pocket. Jensen had tried to hit it over earlier in the set with no avail, so now it was his turn after watching Velez do it.
That doesn't help the cause, as it's 23-19 now, just when it looked like UCLA was going to slam the door and get out with a first set victory. They give it right back to George Mason. Pusa sends it to Knight. Jensen, far side, running attack, missing wide was a Bruin.
I think, that's the kind of play that they want that UCLA wants to run. They want to make the block think they're going to overload to the middle and the outside and then run that D ball on the backside. But George Mason was clearly ready for that, taking advantage of any errors that the Bruins are going to give him.
Yeah, Bergie now with 2 errors on 2 attacks. As that one goes long, and it'll be set point now for UCLA, 24-20. Not out of reach for George Mason by any means, especially the way serving has gone so far tonight.
Mads Jensen back to serve, trying to use that height to land one on the Mason side.
Had 4 aces in the win against Damon, didn't get one there. Tack up the middle, and Brad Kramer keeps the set alive for George Mason.
It all starts with a pass. A really good pass just lets the George Mason offense do what they do best, which right now is running the middles. That is where they're scoring their most points, and so I think anytime the passing can let that happen, they're going to go for it.
Kramer sends it over. Jensen near side. Bergie has it stuffed. Hayden Wagner with a business look.
And Coach Brock clearly not happy about that. More just chatting with his setter right now about what the play is going to be. But Hayden Wagner was all over that. There was no daylight at all on that play.
So Kramer, lofty serve. That kind of set the Bruins off a little. Kofi, though, seals the set, and he did that with relative ease. 25-22. The number 2 Bruins come to Fairfax and take the opening set. We'll step aside and be back after this. UCLA leads George Mason 1-0 here on ESPN+.
About the way his team performed, but knows there's progress to be made.
Both teams stick with their starters here for the second set as we're underway. Far side, and Matui with the early kill to put UCLA back on top.
That time you could just tell Wagner, even just talking to Jack Reese after the play, was too far past it. It went past his inside hand. Couldn't really do anything about it, but also couldn't believe himself when he came down missing that block.
Youngren will serve. Middle blocker from California, playing for the home state team, as many of these players are. As Kapusa, for the second straight set, gets the opening kill for George Mason.
And honestly, Zach, I said to you that he, if anybody, was going to be the change I saw. But I think what's great is that Coach Hosak is like, let's keep him in, let's see what he does. And he comes out and responds really well, not after kind of struggling through set 1, hitting negative 250.
Sends that one right to the back line, and a solo block for Greenslade. Another battle at the net by Greenslade, won by UCLA. And now Wagner's attempt dug out by Bergie. He'll turn around and fire on offense. Wagner just tips it over with an artsy touch. Set up the middle, long running attempt. Kennan right there for the dig and the kill up the middle.
And what was great, whether the Patriots knew it or not, is that they moved Kofi and Matatua and switched them. Kofi on the outside and Matatua in the middle, and that gave Jack Reese all the space. He was going up against someone much smaller than him, and really after that run, what the Mason offense did was just run it through the smallest blocker on the UCLA side. Really well done for them.
Set far side, here comes Kofi, blocked at the net by Reese and Wagner. They're going back to Wagner. He'll take plenty of attacks tonight. Out of bounds, point George Mason. Here's that early spark. We saw it in the first. How long does the flame last this time over the Patriots?
I think, what you're getting out of the Patriots right now is their setter, Luis Vel. Wow, why do I have such a challenging time with that? What Luis is doing so well is just spreading around the offense. He's getting Hayden more involved, but he's making sure he sees the block on the other side and goes at the weaknesses, if any, that the Bruins have.
Kapusa with his second service error of the night, making a 3-2 set. It's almost like Mason comes out hot early, and it's almost like they need to build up a bank of points. And then UCLA will trim away, but they got built up enough. That one catching the line there by Burgee.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of coaches really talk about in practice point scoring runs, and that's something that a lot of teams train and they talk about. And you talk about breaking the game up into, 3 parts, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And maybe it is that Mason has talked about coming out to fast starts like they're doing right now and building up that bank of points. But they're going to need a side out to get this back.
Nice dig there by Jensen. That set was not perfect by any means for the Bruins, and it ends up being not returned.
Anytime you can get a team out of system like the Patriots just did to the Bruins, that is the time for your block to really set up, to get in front of them and really put a clamp down on them. So that was definitely challenging serving that led to a Mason block against the Bruins.
So Reese will go with the right hand, going cross court. Knight keeps it in bounds. Now it's stuffed by Greenslade. Now Wagner has his shot stuffed by Kofi. And Greenslade's return again, tipped to the net, kept alive, miscommunication, and that's partially due to a lot of these players not playing with each other.
Yeah, I think it's challenging when your libero's digging it up and it's kind of out of system, the setter's coming from across the court. It was going to be really challenging. They just needed more communication. It doesn't help that it's pretty loud in here, but somebody's got to take charge on that Bruins side. But Mason is doing a great job of building up this lead right now.
Set. They're going to go up the middle, and Kofi erases the lead real quick. It's 5-4. And it seems like he's the safety valve. Obviously, he's All-American in the AVCA last year, first teamer. Anytime you need a point, I think you just lob it up high and let him go get it.
Yeah, I think what's good is that he is somebody that clearly is terminating. He's not getting blocked often. He's just putting the ball away, and he's being smart about it, mixing up his shots and where he's going. And then at the same time, he's really trying to present a good block for his team. So I think he's definitely helping out his squad, and he has the experience that he's trying to bring to this program right now.
It'll be Wagner on serve after a block that went out of bounds. Kill for Wagner. 2-point lead as the senior sends it down the far side. They're going to go up the middle of Kofi. He missed time to jump, and the whistle blows. Net violation against Kofi there. And the point to George Mason at 7-4.
Yeah, that was a great serve from Wagner, really aggressive going at it. I think, if he has a little bit more control, he needs to put that ball away from the UCLA libero, try to get it on the corners, and make him work even harder for it.
Wagner catching the back line.
And Coach Spratt does not like that at all. He is trying to talk to the up official about overruling that call, as he felt it was out by a long shot. And right now we do not have replay in this match, which for most matches you do, and at the national championship you do, and that is in and out calls are something that you can challenge.
Attack on the far side. Knight gets it to go, inbounds in fact.
I think that play, most West Coast teams just call it a jam, and you're trying to push it through that blocker's hand, and Knight was really smart about that. He didn't need to go hard. He just could push it through, use the block against it, and get that kill.
Back to serve. The ever busy, it appears, Kofi Jimma. A little too strong, but he definitely had the muscle into that one, making it 9-5.
Sam Greenslade, he is somebody that they are looking to contribute this year. They want him getting the ball a lot and really firing on all cylinders.
That one goes a bit long. Missing a cylinder on that one, I guess, Coach. 9-6.
I think every time I talk highly about somebody, and then usually an error occurs.
It's called the broadcaster's jinx. You'll learn quickly about it. And Greensleeve is first team All-EIVA from a year ago. He was second on the Patriots in kills behind Wagner. So he's a guy that's gotten it done for this team. Kennan bump sets there to Kapusa. Just kind of sent it over. UCLA a little out sync as the freshman Knight mishits that one.
Yeah, I mean, that is just a bad mistake. Knight needed to put that in. It was out of system. And honestly, what's so funny is that a lot of West Coast teams very much practice hitting out of system because that is the game is played more times than not. But right now we're going to slow things down with both teams needing to clean up a little bit before we go back to the Mason leading 10-6 with Bradley Kramer serving.
And Speraw has not taken his eye off of Knight. And now he's coming up and talking to him. He's trying to get him pumped back up. Obviously, as a freshman, it's really easy to get down on yourself. Just his second official match in a Bruins uniform.
Yeah, that's something that Speraw talked about this morning, you know, is just how the guys are feeling and just understanding that some of them, it's their first time in a Bruin uniform, and that in and of itself is a great moment for them, something that they should be really proud about, and them getting comfortable playing in it. A triple block for UCLA right there with time to set up out of system.
Here come the Patriots back far side. Wagner has it blocked out of bounds. Point George Mason. One of the louder times I've heard the rack in quite a while here in Fairfax.
We might have a little bit of an issue. Jack Reese is working on something with his finger. Maybe a jam, something small, happens all the time, but that was a big point for the Patriots.
Wagner just noticed something. I don't know what it was, but he just ran up and alerted everyone to it. It's not going to matter as Kramer sends it into the net. It's going to be really frustrating as a player. You see something, you're like, oh, I found the weakness, and then you don't even get to exploit it.
Yeah. It's usually a rotational thing. It's somebody standing in a different spot. They've changed the blocking sequence. Maybe you can get me on this pipe or this bick or something like that. But, yeah, hopefully he'll get to use it in a couple rotations.
Knight airmailing that one back to California, and it's 12-7. So the Patriots here, 5-point lead. They've built it up.
Yeah.
Now can they weather the storm?
And this is exactly where it happened last time, where the switch happened, and then UCLA came back to then tie at 14-14 in the first set. So Mason's certainly looking to keep things together, just play their game, not do anything extra.
A little extra heat behind that one, as Burgee sent that one firing into Kennan's chest.
Kennan was in the right spot. He knew what he needed to do, but that, you know, it hit him a little high, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Second kill of the night for Burgee as he subs out. Gets a better dig on that one. Jack Reese, quick attack, no good, and it just out of reach of Wagner, who's a little bit slow to get up, a little gingerly there for the Patriots.
I think that was one of the first, you know, Jack Reese, they really ran him into that gap a lot, and it was his first error of the night. But challenging that block for UCLA right now in front of him is massive.
Velez, far side. Kapusa gets it to go off the block. 13-9. George Mason on top here in the second. As Kapusa goes back to serve. What I was saying earlier, Coach, every time you get a kill, you get to serve. I think volleyball should just change the rules because that's just how it happens. I
have coached players where sometimes they would be getting subbed out in the back row, but if they got a kill, we'd usually go back and let them serve just on momentum, and it usually paid off.
Speaking of momentum, the Patriots have it. If you're Coach forwarding here somehow, I don't want to fast forward. This is a great game. I'd like to take all of this one has to offer. That's how one goes to the back line. Oh, that was a miscommunication for the Patriots. Somehow they got away with it. UCLA can't capitalize, and here comes George Mason for the kill. It's Jack Reese. He kind of lucked into that one.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge miscommunication from the Patriots, which they're talking about right now on what was supposed to happen. And then, you know, honestly, unfortunately, I think it was just a low set for UCLA that led to some tape. And honestly, they had me faked out as I thought they were going to Kofi, but the play was good. But again, it is just George Mason keeping every ball off the floor. They are just playing super scrappy, they're getting it up, and they're just forcing UCLA to play every ball at their best level.
Kofi plays at his best level when he's up in the rafters as it's now 15-11. But back to the previous play, I don't know if you've noticed, but after the play was over, Knight, the freshman for UCLA, along with the libero Pender, set some to each other, and then Pender spiked the ball in frustration. So a little bit of frustration starting to show up for the Bruins, and now some frustration is going to show up for the Patriots after everyone on the court watched that one fall in.
I think, honestly, this is every team that is just starting off their season are going to have these moments of just unsure, not ready, and who's getting that ball? What is the communication there? And so I think that these are normal growing pains for every program. And so I think some of it is. But you can see George Mason wants to get on to the next point. Like, they want to move, and you can see hand gestures from the players, from the coaches, just next ball, side out, side out. And I think they're trying to get through this set and take it as quickly as possible.
Wagner back to serve, one of the better service guys on this Patriots roster. Nursing a 4-point lead, make it 3, and that will not help the cause by any means.
Back-to-back service errors, one from UCLA, one from the Patriots, and now Kofi goes back. He's trying to get some sort of rhythm going for UCLA, who trails by 3.
Last season, 25 aces, 116 errors at the service stripe. Tipped the net there. Kept alive. Patriots come near side the green slate, and he is stuffed at the net. It's Burgee, and he's kind of been the spark lately for UCLA.
I think he's done a nice job. You know, once he came in during the middle of the first set, he's just been consistent. He hasn't needed to do a ton. He has some support around him, but he has chipped in. He's gotten some kills, get some good touches on the block, and is really helping this Bruins squad right now.
Kofi, a long pause, high twirl, and into the net it goes. All the anticipation leads to another error. That's the 10th of the night for UCLA already.
You know, it's so funny watching serve and pass this morning. UCLA does a lot of throwing the football around, throwing up some shots from the basketball. I think they are trying to stay as loose as possible all the time.
That one a little short by Greenslade, and gives it right back. 2-point George Mason lead at 17-15. Not exactly sure what the crowd is booing about. It was a pretty straightforward error there.
Yeah, I think maybe he was going to have a foot fault if he didn't put that into the net, but again.
Well, the crowd liked that, and you know, they like the term here in Fairfax, ball doesn't lie. I really don't know what they were booing about the previous play, but it got it right back nonetheless. And it's a 3-point George Mason lead once more. Kramer far side, set by Jensen. Blocked at the net was Knight. Going back to him again, and somehow that got through.
Yeah, that was definitely a touch. I'm confused why people don't think there was a touch. I mean, we could see it pretty clearly. That ball changed directions, and I don't think it was off the pin. So
yeah, the pin never moved. Velez a little bit of a smile now. You know, just like in the NBA, there's flops. Everyone has those moments where they just tried to get it. Didn't work for the Patriots that time. Wagner, high off the ceiling it goes, still in play. Burgee has it blocked off the head of Jack Reese. That was not a block using the hands. And it gets through.
In that rally, it was all Pender. He is getting some great digs right now for the Bruins and really keeping them in a lot of rallies. I think he's doing a lot, but it's very quiet. You are not seeing it a lot, but he has gotten 2 great digs in that last rally and really keeping this alive for the Bruins.
Got his first assist of the night on that play there. Back to a 2-point advantage for George Mason at 19-17.
And you're getting a little smile coming from Knight and Spraw on that play. I think they were going for off speed on that serve, not power. And so, you know, some of those misses are certainly planned, whether they like it or not.
Velez goes right towards Pender. Quick attack, and Jensen put that to the hardwood with no problems.
Yeah, I think, you know, what's so challenging about having an offensive setter is that are you willing to commit block on that setter and leave maybe your middle one-on-one or even the outside one-on-one, and that's something, you know, that I'm sure the Patriots are thinking about.
Went soft again to UCLA. Jack Reese, not the best set there by Velez. Kind of left him out to dry. Velez bumped that one in reverse. And now Capuzzo will try to block, and that was kind of dunked down by Kofi. Somehow kept alive. Great volley going. A lot of saves for the Patriots. And another save by Velez. Greenslade backline attack. UCLA just trying to calm everyone down. Battle at the net. Kept alive by Reese with his knee. And eventually the block for Kofi and co. at the net, and the Bruins tie the match.
Honestly, what was so entertaining about that rally was that your green
5 deep.
Literally at serve and pass this morning, it was like a whole squad. There could have been 2 full courts going on in scrimmage. They're carrying about 22 guys, and yes, Bra's got a crew.
Backline Kennan, set Velez up the middle. Jack Reese with the response, giving George Mason the lead back once more.
That was an incredible pass by Kennan. Really good coming out of that timeout, just locked in, ready to go.
It'll be Capuzzo back to serve. He's been back to serve when big points are needed. Hasn't exactly panned out so far for the redshirt sophomore. He gets that one to go. Up the middle, Kofi mishit it and actually benefited him.
I think what's interesting, it's a real battle between Reese and Kofi at this point, kind of both going off speed on that, trying to work around each other, which, you know, it shows a good amount of respect that they have for each other and how much they're getting set, and that they have to do different things. They can't just bounce it. They need to tip. They need to push it around and really make each other work.
This is my reminder, Happy New Year 2020 here in the second set, as Wagner will disrupt that 21-20 Patriots.
Yeah, Hayden was really on top of that one, and I think, you know, they caught Kofi off the net and letting it trickle inside. But that was another great set, like a great decision. They had just run the middle. It was time to switch it up and send it back to somebody that really can score points somewhat automatically for the Patriots.
Richie Hoff, the serving specialist for George Mason, on for the second time tonight. Service errors first time, much better this time around. Jensen sets, near side, soft touch by the Bruins, no good. Battle at the net. I think you're going to put 4 guys at the net, and Kofi was going to out-jump every one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some anticipation of knowing he was going up in the Patriots block, just getting up in there, touching the net. Brad Kramer just, I understand going for the ball and trying to be aggressive, but you got to know where your body is. You can't just be up in the air kind of flailing.
21 all. First to 4 will take the second set. Beautiful dig by Capuzzo on the back line to keep that one up. Wagner down the line, and that's got to be frustrating for Hayden personally, as he missed that completely. So UCLA on top, 22-21.
It's interesting, both teams have timeouts, but everybody's trying to hold on to momentum here.
Set, soft touch, Creamer got the tip. Point George Mason. UCLA has a couple of players that haven't come into the match today. In fact, they're wearing pants, and they're sitting there asking for the tip. I don't think that's exactly what you want to do.
I mean, think there was a touch on that. I mean, I think there was a touch on that, and the line judge had it pretty quickly. So, and you could kind of tell from the reaction of the UCLA team that they knew.
22 all, first to 3. Now will win the second. Wagner trying to put a dent into that margin, as Creamer will make it another Mason lead.
Yeah, I mean, and within themselves, and hopefully that's, you know, what he'll get. But with Hayden Wagner back to serve, at least it's experience back there ready to go.
Student section on their feet here inside the rack, as Hayden Wagner will take a deep breath and fire one off that right hand, and it's long.
So that's a coach's point. Sprague got that one for his team. He called the timeout, and so that was, you know, one that you get kind of a pat on the back for. But, yeah, Mason's swim and dive is really on their feet. They're ready to win this with the Patriots.
You know, once a year they come in their Speedos. Yeah. And I've heard fans say really like the cheering and all that, but some people aren't a fan of them showing up in Speedos. I'm glad they're dressed warm. It's cold outside today in Fairfax, as Velez will set that one far side the green slate. Tied at 23 all. Far side, freshman Knight had the stutter step, and that was the difference.
You know, I think that's challenging because honestly, UCLA couldn't have set that up any better. They had a good they had a good serve first of all, and then they got that dig up. I mean, I think it was challenging with their setter taking that first ball unnecessarily, but you know, this is great for Mason. They're putting themselves in the position to take this set.
Set point, George Mason. Trying to tie the match with number 2 UCLA here on their home court. Greenslade has it dug out, and it'll be tied at 24. We're going to extra points in the second.
This is what you expect from great level teams. I think you want it to be a battle. You want it to be, and I think what's challenging for Mason is that they did have that early lead, and to make it this close, you would hope that they would have closed out that gap a long time ago, but I think, you know, Mason right now is doing a good job just containing the momentum and trying to get back on track.
Obviously, Patriots trying very hard in the set. A lot of perspiration ending up on the court. Took a little second to find it all. Took a little team effort there, but nonetheless, Burgee trying to put UCLA in a set point position. Right into the net it goes. You almost saw it coming. He really wanted to put everything he had on it. And sometimes as a server, it's better to not do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that situation, it's challenging as a coach. You're trying to tell your players to go for it, but at the same time, you want to make Mason play the ball.
Creamer to serve. Set point, George Mason. Jensen up the middle, and we're tied at 25.
We are battling here in Fairfax, that's for sure.
Hope you got your popcorn. If not, at the end of the set, go pop it. Because this is going to be a long one, and it's going to be a good one, folks. As the freshman Knight now has the pressure on his shoulders. He's showing a little emotion in the second set. We'll see how he handles it here. Perfect serve right at Greenslade. Greenslade will take the back row attack. Somehow UCLA keeps it over. Nice attempt by Velez. UCLA able to snuff it out. Soft touch, and UCLA will have set point, 26-25. You kind of felt the air just sucked out of this arena.
Yeah, I mean, I was holding my breath that whole play just because it was some good decisions. But, you know, what I'm struggling with a bit, and maybe it's just kind of the miscommunication and not the direct connection the setters and hitters have, is that there's a lot of tipping going on. And I just feel like I would be expecting these players to want to go for it. And I get point scoring and things like that, but it does strike me as a little cautious right now, the way they're playing, because I do think that there is some space and to really swing on that ball. But, I mean, with the setter-hitter connection still growing and building, I can see why at times it might not be there and they don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, and you can see that with both teams. Like we mentioned, new setter for UCLA. On the other side, Mason Velez has been their guy, but they've got different attackers on the outside with the exception of Wagner and Greenslade.
Yeah.
So he's still trying to sync it up on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Exactly. I think what's so interesting, it's so different from the women's game, is that the men literally come back and they have had fall ball, but they've been away, and then they got to pick it up pretty quick and hit the ground running with matches. And so they don't have this long preseason like the women do, where they're prepping and in the gym for 3 weeks with each other before their first match.
At UCLA, just 1 day of practice before they flew to Canada.
Yep.
To play in that preseason tournament. 1 day of practice between their match on Thursday and their match here tonight. So 2 practices this season for UCLA, and they've got set point here in the second. And they give up set point, and we're back tied at 26 all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things Coach Spraw was kind of, you know, he understood that they haven't had a ton of time to practice, that they haven't had a ton of time to be around each other, but.
Velez, soft touch. Interesting time to go to that. Nice dig by Kinnan, but it goes back to UCLA. Nice slide on the block by Wagner and Reese. They read that all the way like a picture book.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've been talking about them all night. Those two, especially together, they're putting up a great block against Matatua. And I think that, you know, UCLA is going to have to do something different. They're going to have to go away from that side of the court when those two are in the front row.
Set point once more, 27-26. Velez gets it over. Jensen, quick attack, kept alive and out of bounds. Hasek felt that one as he almost coiled over.
I'm honestly surprised that Jensen doesn't do that more. Like
it's there.
It's there often. And I mean, I think sometimes it's great because he can get out of a jam quickly with it. But some of the hitters, I mean, he has this room to do it because the block won't leave those other hitters.
Caught the line. And UCLA will have set point once more, 28-27. I don't mind Greenslade letting that one go. That was a 50-50 ball.
Yeah, I mean, some of the time you got to get to the line, get your foot on it. Maybe it's bouncing off your foot. But I think that was a close ball for sure.
And make it 28-28. The pressure could not be handled that time by the Bruins. That was Youngren who couldn't get it over.
Yeah, and honestly, the last time Youngren was back serving, they had that incredible rally with him in the back row, so that could have been a really good scoring opportunity for them.
28 all. 15 errors now at the service line for UCLA tonight. Quick attack again, and there you have it. Not much you can do to stop it.
Well, I'm just having a hard time at why the Patriots are not bumping over to block him and really just shifting their block altogether, especially on those balls that are 50-50. I know he's tall, but like someone can get up and contend that. Well, he's in the back row now, so.
He's in the back row and he's serving. And he knows how to knock an ace home too. Set point UCLA, back to the Bruins, free ball opportunity. Jensen sets, Kofi kills, and it's a 2-0 lead for UCLA, and the air has been sucked out of the rack. We're going to step aside,
shutting down their outside hitters. But I think that comes from that group playing together a lot, and UCLA just doesn't have that. And so I think it is a real battle right now of Mason's block versus UCLA's offense, and then the serving game, which is just sort of a train wreck. But that is the ace error game is men's volleyball for sure.
15 errors, 4 aces for the Bruins, 2 aces, 11 errors for George Mason. It'll be UCLA to serve here first with Youngren. But like you said, it's been a tale of 2 halves to every set for the Patriots. We'll see how the third one goes. It's going to start with a block by Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen's up there. I mean, I think he honestly has been pretty quiet blocking right now. But that was a big one-on-one that he just shut down.
So Youngren will serve again. Be interesting to see what the Patriots do with their block, trying to shut down the middle of UCLA in this set. As Wagner gets it through, and that triple block is upset with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Wagner right now hitting 167 on the match, but I think what they should be doing more of is running that back row attack. It's super effective. The block might be up, but it's not overly sealed, and he can drill it through there.
Nice pass over to the far side. Burgee has it dug by Kinnan. Back line. Greenslade no good. Pushing near side. That was a bad set. And Jensen says my bad as soon as he landed back on the ground.
Yeah, I think that was a challenging set from Jensen. I think Matt Tatua was just one step too early in that. But I think, again, Matt Tatua has the experience, but not with Jensen. He hasn't played with him before, so I think once they get their connection down, it's going to be very dangerous.
Bruin falling down the back line there. That caused some havoc. Nice diving save by Kinnan. Here come the Bruins at the net. Jensen just tried to hammer it home. Nice job by the Patriots of keeping it alive. Kapusa down the line, no good. Dug out by Burgee. And that one right off the chest of Kinnan. Somehow it ends up with the Bruins. Kofi has it tipped at the net, kept alive. Set far side, Wagner stuffed down, and Kofi is having none of the Hayden Wagner show tonight.
Yeah, I think that there is a little bit of bravado happening between Kofi and Hayden. I think that they are understanding of their strengths and kind of their battle a little bit, and I've seen a little bit of some eyes back and forth, but that's what makes it fun.
Well, and it seems like it's Kofi against Wagner and Reese.
Yeah.
It's like Wagner and Reese think together they can take on Kofi.
Yes.
As Reese gets the kill over top of Kofi right there.
And that was a great set. That one-hander right up there, just making it look so easy. And really just keeping the offense very dynamic for George Mason.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. UCLA's coming to the near side this play. Let's see if I'm right. Kapusa Dug out, set, near side, Kofi. Kept alive by Kennan. And a nice kill opportunity up the middle for Kapusa.
Yeah, I mean, good call, Zach, on them switching it up. I mean, I like that play for Kofi coming on the outside and bringing Burgee into the middle, or really into the gap. But that's, again, them working through this offense and trying to figure it out. It's giving George Mason something to think about, which is awesome, because they have struggled against their block right now.
Kapusa near side. Watch out, broadcast booth, as that almost got upended. Everyone's okay, as Hayden Wagner might have to check and see if the ball's okay. He annihilated that one.
And that was a net violation, too, by UCLA. Just Burgee trying to cover more when Kofi was running back onto the court. And again, George Mason now in this lead early, coming out really strong to start.
5-2 Patriots, all on the arm of Kapusa. 3-0 scoring run. It's going to end on the arm of Kapusa.
Yeah, and you know, this is one of those battles for the Patriots. It's early in the season, so you obviously are talking to your team like you want to go to 5, you want to win in 5, but it is an uphill battle, both mentally and physically, to come back when you're down 2-0. So you're going to see kind of what grit this team has.
Into the net, service error number 16 on the night. John Spiraz lost the jacket. He's shed down to the polo.
It is getting a little warm in here, all the fans.
It's a lot of body heat in the rack right now, to say the least. As Jack Reese will serve from the far side, coming back near side. Knight, Jensen, Kofi mistimed the jump. Somehow it has all the Patriots on the ground. See if they can rally here. Free ball opportunity, and Kofi loves those opportunities. So
one of the interesting things about having a setter that's really tall, sometimes it is challenging finding the ball coming out of the setter's hands. There's one of the tallest setters in the women's game was one of the setters at Florida, Harley Carlton, and she always found that it was because you're almost setting down to your hitters. New setter coming in for George Mason. Ayrton
Garcia Yardo into the game.
Yardo is a freshman music major here at George Mason. I've had some time to talk to him, and he's very excited to be here at George Mason and really likes to say that when the hair flow, the hands flow. His words, not mine.
Very interesting. He's got that good California look going for him, though.
Yes.
As that one's dug out, and a blast right at him. They're testing the rookie early, and much success so far at the net, and that's going to be blown dead. 4 touches against the Bruins, and maybe that's the spark the Patriots need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing. Changing your setter can always kind of bring a different look to the game. They're going to bring just a different style, but you are going to see what is this going to do to the Patriots' block. That is where there can be some struggle, as he will be up against Knight in this rotation.
So Wagner will serve. Big right hand, back line, Knight. Jensen, back to Knight, the freshman, and there was a crater-sized hole in that back line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to try to Jensen's going to keep running it over top of the smaller Mason setter. But, you know, he's going up against big guys every day in practice, so I think that they'll be ready, and hopefully he's going to give the Patriots a different look, and they still hold that 1-point lead.
He was ready to catch that ball like a touchdown pass, and it was going under the net. When you're a freshman and you get into your first game, I'm assuming you're pretty hyped up. You're ready to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, especially against the number 2 team in the nation.
Yeah, he could probably run through the back wall right now, while I would not advise that, as Greenslade has it dug out on the back line. A little bit of a collision there between Yardo and Kennan, and blocked down.
But a great decision by Coach Hosick to change his blocking scheme. He's moved his setter over to the other side, going technically up against Jensen, whether he's offensive or not, and now putting Matt Tatua up against a larger block.
Knight is getting redder as the match has gone on, and is really becoming frustration for the freshman He's 6 of 13, only 2 errors, but the service game has not been pretty tonight for the freshman, who is normally a pretty sure server.
Yeah, for sure. And it could just be a little bit of nerves. I think this is a much bigger match than the last one they played, and he can feel it.
Far side. And Burgee gets the kill. No, he does not. Missed wide. Excuse me.
And now we have a new player coming in.
Yeah, Burgee had missed his last 2 in a row. He's now 2 of 10.
And Krasinski comes into the match.
Cole Krasinski, the freshman, member of the Canadian Youth National Team, so he got to spend some time up at home as Youngren hammers it home.
You know, I think it's so amazing for the game, for the men's game especially, that they have these young national team players, 3 of them on the UCLA roster alone, that's really just growing the game. It's taking it to another level, and they're getting this international experience and then also this collegiate experience, which is so different but so good for that athlete.
Tip to the net. Give that one, I believe, Green Slade up the middle. And look who's back to serve as the crowd at the rack goes to their feet. Yardo sends it over. Set up the middle. My goodness, Kofi tried to put that ball through the floor.
Does that go off his head?
Maybe. It must have gone off his head, and I don't think that felt very good. Because that was probably the hardest hit ball I've seen tonight.
Yeah.
(11-9), Mason still on top, although the momentum appears to be with UCLA. I'm not sure what that set was by Reese. Yardo near side, Kapusa got to go. That was a beautiful set, by the way.
That was a great set. He completely had the UCLA thinking he was going back to the outside for an overload and really keeping that middle honest and getting his hitter a one-on-one behind him, which really, really was great for the Patriots.
12-9, Patriots with a 3-point lead. This is about the time in the match where it's unraveled for them so far.
You know,
looking and getting the point are the Patriots.
I think UCLA is probably going to go back to practice this week and try to figure out their back row attacking because it just hasn't connected yet. I think they're trying to run some good stuff.
Zach Hamilton and Lee Ellickson with you here on ESPN+. Each of the 3 sets, UCLA has called a timeout first. They've gone on to win the first 2. George Mason trying to deter that here in the third.
Like we talked about in the break, Mason needs to build on this lead. They cannot get comfortable. And that is another point for Coach Spraw. Called that timeout, and he could claim that one.
He's had a few of those to put in the back pocket tonight, and it's turned out pretty good for his team off of the timeouts, too. They've gone on a lot of runs following timeouts. Nice ace there. Had to make sure that Yarden wasn't going to find a way to get to it, but yeah, it was a strong move there.
I think, you know, what Matatuda does so well is he just has good control. Like, he's putting them in, and he's had some errors, but it's those kind of balls that they're trying to get him to do over and over.
Matatuda on the right side, and that's a laser out the back end. Mason appears to be a little out of sync.
Hoffa coming back into the game.
So Hoff is 1 for 2 at the service line today as far as getting it over. Make him 1 of 3 as that one flies out the back as well.
I think it's really challenging. Like, you're trying, usually those defensive specialists, serving specialists, you got to know your role. You got to come in and make something happen. I'm always a proponent of a miss-serve long is way better than in the net. It at least makes them think about it. But these have not been great errors from him.
Tipped the net, kept alive on the back line. Yargan far side. That set, however, was not the best as it actually went to the pole and then Greenslade hit it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, it's working on some connection stuff. It's figuring out they want to run tempo. Like, that is a straight-up go ball with not a lot of height on it, no loop on it. You got to get on your first step really quick to hit that ball, and Greensley was just too late on it, and that the ball had passed him almost to his left shoulder and found it into the pin. But now you see that Mason's lead has quickly slipped away.
One thing that the freshman just gave away, I'm pretty sure this set is going to go to either Greenslade or Kapusa, and if so, I'll explain why in a second, as we'll never get to know because Kofi sends into the net. But he went back, and you know how the setters will pull their jersey to get the play. The only two people standing behind him were Kapusa and Greenslade, and then he didn't tell anything to anyone else. And as a UCLA team that's got some vets over there, I'm pretty sure someone saw that.
That's the stuff you're sharing with your teammates. Like, it's only going there. Be ready.
Wagner returns it right back. 5 of the last 6 points in this match have come off of errors at the service line.
I think, you know, it's going to be amazing to see these teams in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and just see the tremendous difference in them, not only probably in lineup, but in just ability to communicate with their teammates and know what the others need in the situation.
That's the unfortunate part of being a 6'9" setter.
Yeah.
Right off the back of the old noggin, 6 of the last 7 points have been via the service error. This one gets over. And Knight will end that streak with a nice kill there by the freshman.
And I mean, I think the smart thing is the Patriots are moving their block. They've moved Garcia over to go up against the setter, and they're putting their bigger blockers against Knight and now Mantutua, but they need to find a way to stop them.
Knight with the right hand, right at Greenslade. Yargan far side, Kapusa. I think that went off the head of Jensen. Kept alive, UCLA with it. Jensen could have gone for the quick attack. Instead, a nice kill there, Mantutua.
Yeah, I mean, that was some great 50-50 balls. You don't know who's going to get that. But, I mean, I think that was a great literal heads-up play for UCLA, and then just taking advantage of the smaller blocker. Mantutua could really hammer that home and go sharp cross.
Knight into the net, giving Mason the lead back 17-16. But this, once again, was a 6-point Mason lead for the second straight set.
Yeah, I mean, now, like, we're pushing into that later part of the match, and I think that is, again, it's the middle portion where they've lost their points. They didn't build on the lead that they had, and UCLA took advantage of that, which a lot of great teams will do.
Set Jensen near side, and I think we found the hot hand of the third set. It's the senior.
Yeah, I think that, you know, what's so good about Mantutua is that he's mixing up his shots. He's going really wrist away, sharp cross court. He just drilled that ball down the line, and I'm sure he's going to put in a tip or a roll there also just because they're back on their heels defensively.
Set up the middle, Jack Reese. He had to wait a second to get it, but nonetheless, it went home.
Yeah, they could be running that play all day. It has been stopped maybe once at this point, but that gap is just hard to defend, and he's just really good at scoring in that situation.
I haven't heard from Kofi in a while. Oh, wait. There's Kofi. He just missed long. We hadn't heard from him in quite a bit, and then immediately they go to him. So whatever I say, they do. Whatever you say ends up in error. That's what I'm taking out of this night so far. And both of these teams are very good teams. That's the other thing. Jensen gets the quick attack.
Jensen with a two-handed dump on that one, really just pushing it over. Didn't need to finesse that at all, just was trying to score points, which I think, honestly, teams moving forward, I think when they're scouting UCLA are going to look, and anytime they're in a tight jam, they're going to know that he's going to try to pull that play out of his back pocket.
Jensen, the long pause. And now the big lefty will fire a hammer shot at Kapusa out of bounds on the dig attempt. Excuse me, on the pass/dig attempt there. 19 all.
This is where you're really trying to settle your guys down. I think, you know, both Spra and Hossack are figuring out how to get their teams over the edge. I think they're trying to get them to be at their best right now. Spra a little bit more animated than we've seen him previously in the match.
Yargan up the middle, and Greenslade came flying in, and it flew out the back.
And he also was over on the attack, it looks. Maybe not. I think they maybe got his toe on the line, but.
It was close.
It was close. It was close enough that I think the up official really saw that one.
Jensen trying to put it on ice for the Bruins. Patriots still showing a little bit of fight. We're tied at 20.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time where you got to really bear it down. You cannot make errors. You really need to play a flawless game to get through this set and push on to a fourth set for George Mason.
20 all, Kapuso with the right hand. Redshirt sophomore goes back line. Set, Kofi gets the tip and the fall. Kennan would like to have that one back.
And honestly, Jack Reese was all over that. Like, that is the touch that they've been waiting for with Kofi. It was just a shame that Sam Greensland couldn't dig it up from the back. A
little bit of a pause here as we serve it back over.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about the decision by Reese. That's one that I feel like you don't duck out of the way of. And it's going to cause Jay Haas to get the call. Taking how to play in Fairfax right now. 22-20, trying to put it on ice. Yardo, far side. Greenslade keeps it up. Jensen to the freshman Knight. Kennan had that one kind of bounce off funny. They were able to corral it. Reese backwards dump, no good. And Kofi hammers it right at Kennan. Kapusa into the blockers, stuffed. And now Wagner will get it off the blockers for George Mason point.
That was some great setting by Yardo, and I think some incredible defense from Kennan. I think the two of them are bringing some really great energy to the Mason team, and they're keeping them in this. I think Yardo mixing up who's getting the ball, and I think pushing it to Wagner at the end to really seal that point was a great idea.
Yardo really making the most of his opportunity here in the third. Reese goes soft. And Kofi goes hard and gets the point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's so challenging. Anytime they're getting a perfect pass, it's going to be hard to stop him. He is just elevating at a different place. And honestly, his arm swing, he mixes it up so well. At times, it is so fast. Other times, it's a little slower. He's going off speed and then uses his wrist to finish. So I think there's some really good stuff, and he is only going to get better as he moves along in this season.
Into the net, a service error will keep George Mason alive here. 23-22, must win by 2, as we saw in that second set. A few subs as Kofi's coming out. If this was at home, I think he would have gotten an ovation for what he did today. 12 kills on 21 attempts, 3 blocks. Go along with 2 service aces, and he picked up a dig while he was at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty impressive. I think, right now this UCLA team, all the teams are getting this professional volleyball experience with no classes in session and just being able to train. And so I think they're making the most of it, that's for sure. Wagner
will serve. I think the players, yes, it's the professional experience, but I mean, they get to play volleyball with no class. I mean, that's great in its own right.
Yes.
As Wagner will serve with the right hand down the line. Set Jensen, Knight. Nice placement by the freshman. Got it just on that inside hand to Kramer, and it's match point.
Yeah, honestly, that could have gone either way. Like, Kramer's up 1 second earlier. He's got 1 more second on the press, and that's a stuff block. But Knight was able to slip it in to give UCLA match point. I don't think the Patriots are just going to roll over, but they're in for a challenge, that's for sure.
Burgee pounding the ball back there. I think he's feeling this one. I think he wants to send the Bruins up north to Princeton. Well, that's not how to do it, as it's a service error. Might not have an even 2 dozen. That's the 24th of the match for the Bruins. I'm all about numbers and being even, so thank you, Burgee, for that one. 24-23, Greenslade has the match on the shoulders of the Patriots. Set Jensen, freshman Knight gets it to go, and UCLA, the number 2 team in the country, comes into Fairfax and takes it over the Patriots in 3 sets, 25